What's up, everyone? Welcome back to It Came From Beyond the Videostore Shelves, the video podcast where I take you guys along with me on this journey to watch every movie in my VHS collection that I've never seen before. And this week, I kind of felt like watching something a little different, and I've had this tape for a very long time. It's kind of I wouldn't really classify it as a sci-fi movie, but I guess that's what you would call it, like a sci-fi drama type film. Anyway, I know it's pretty popular. I knew about it for a while, but it's something I've never seen. Like I said, I've owned a copy of this for ages, and I figured out I was in the mood for something a little different. So tonight would be a good night to check it out, which I finally did. And I am talking about the 1975 movie Rollerball. And this particular release is a MGM VHS. It's not in horrible shape, but it's definitely seen better days. It's sun faded, but then again, like I said, this is from 1975, so this tape has a little bit of age on it. Anyway, Rollerball is kind of a strange movie. Basically, you're in the distant future from 1975, which still looks dated as shit. But basically, in the future, the government, kind of as we know it, has broken down, and it's gone. There is no government. And all of these areas in the world, these territories, are instead ruled by corporations. Corporation has taken the place, has, overrid the government. And each of these areas is ran by a different corporation. Now, all of these corporations have gotten rid of war and conflict. And basically, they've invented this sport, this violent sport that kind of replaces war, which they call rollerball, which is kind of an interesting sport. It's a mix of kind of roller derby and motocross with a little bit of basketball in there. Basically, these teams, each territory has a team, and they just roll around in this circle, and this cannon shoots this large metal ball out. And these guys have to pick this ball up and throw it in their opponent's hoop to win this game, which is kind of weird. But anyway, the movie centers around a man named Jonathan. And Jonathan is pretty much the king of rollerball. He's the best around. And, he's pretty much unbeatable. And the corporation decides that they don't want Jonathan to participate in rollerball anymore. They want him to retire. They want him to quit. They're trying to force him out. And, that doesn't make Jonathan too happy. And he starts to question, what's really going on? Why would they want him to quit playing the sport when he's basically the best of all time? He's still in his prime, he's great. He's not having any issues, and he's dominating. But yet, the powers that be are trying to force him out, and that kind of makes him take a step back and begin to examine everything that's going on around him and start to question things. Basically, what this kind of all boils down to is Jonathan is so good at rollerball, and somehow these corporations have brainwashed citizens into being obsessed with this game. So Jonathan's like the ultimate, superstar. And the corporation is threatened by Jonathan's status amongst, citizens. Basically, they feel that Jonathan has risen so high in popularity that he's now a threat against the machine that runs everything. He's at the pinnacle of, social status where, this normal guy who was supposed to be a pawn of the corporation is now above them, in social power. So they see Jonathan as a threat and they want to get rid of that threat because he's a threat to their power. He may have, the backing to overthrow the corporation. But in doing this, they kind of make him wake up a little bit to notice the things around him, things that, he kind of thinks about and goes, you know what, this is kind of fucked up. And, there's certain things that's happening around him that he's kind of been blind to. Like, the corporation basically runs everything to the point to where they, like, appoint your wife and shit. So, like, for example, Jonathan has had this wife, and the corporation decides to take her away from him and appoint him another wife, who they then took her away and appointed another wife to him. So that they pretty much choose everything, all the choices for all of their citizens. So there is no free will. Everything is, controlled by corporation. And Jonathan's sitting back and going, that's kind of shitty that no one gets to make their own choices. And, they're doping people up. They're giving everybody these pills to make them kind of complacent and numb. And they control everything. They control what you consume. They control this game that they're playing. To the point to where, there's no books anymore in the world. They've taken all the literature and they've transcribed it digitally into these massive computers, and everything has been retracted and edited and altered to where there's really no information available to anyone other than what the corporation wants you to have. They pick your job, they pick where you live, how you live, who you live with, what you consume. And I get where the movie was going. I get what they were trying to do. And, it's kind of almost like a shock piece, where it's kind of a play on the direction that modern society is going into. And that's what they were trying to portray in this film. But there wasn't enough substance in this movie to get that point across. Like, to me, what I got the gist of what they were trying to portray in Rollerball, but there wasn't enough backstory, enough of information to kind of get that point across. Like, they were super vague with pretty much everything. Like, they didn't even explain what the Rollerball games meant. Like, what would happen to the teams that was winning? What happened to the teams that was losing? And, they kind of hinted at all the stuff that the corporation does and everything they control, but they never really get into it. They just kind of mention it. And that's really what Rollerball was missing to me. It was a whole bunch of, action sequences. They showed a whole bunch of the game being played, which was cool. It's an interesting idea, but they really needed to dive deeper into how the corporation was handling things, what all they were doing, the evil of the whole thing behind the corporation, and they just didn't. They didn't dive deep enough, which kind of, made this movie fall flat for me. It was just kind of uninteresting to me. They didn't hit the points that they should have touched on. I think this movie would have been way better if they would have dived, deeper into the whole corporate aspect of everything, instead of focusing so much on, the players playing the game of rollerball. So basically what ends up happening is Jonathan refuses to quit. He's trying to find out why they want him to quit, and he's kind of taking this journey. So corporation decides, we're going to start removing the rules from the game. That way we can kill him off. So they're trying to murder Jonathan. It's already a violent game to start with, and people die, but then they start taking away penalties, and they're taking away time limits and all this shit. That way he would die in gameplay, and it would pretty much solve their problem for them. They would get rid of him. But like I said, they just did not dive deep enough into the belly of the corporation itself. I think it would have been a much better movie. So I think I'm going to have to give this maybe like a 2.5, because I did watch it. It was watchable. And really, for the time, being that it's from 1975, it wasn't super dated. I mean, it's still a little dated, but it didn't feel ancient when you're watching the film, and the acting was really good. Of course, you got James Caan in this, who was in, he's a seasoned actor. He was in all kind of stuff. He was in the Godfather movies. He definitely, knows what he's doing. He knows how to act. The acting was done really good, and it was a really cool premise. The idea behind the movie was nice. It just wasn't executed properly, to me at least. Like I said, if they would have gotten into all the evil things that this corporation was doing, and all the kind of, dystopian type shit that was going on, it would have made for a better flick. But yeah, that's what I thought about Rollerball. If you guys want to check it out, definitely do so. It's out there. It's on Blu-ray. It's streaming pretty much everywhere. Or you could track down the VHS tape, which has some pretty cool cover art and shit. I dig the tape. Could have been a way better movie. To me, it just didn't elevate to the point to where I feel like it should have. It could have been much better. And of course, they remade this in I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s maybe. I don't know the exact date of the remake. I think LL Cool J was in the remake of this, which kind of sucks, because I think Rollerball is a film that they could remake, especially today in like today's society, and all the kind of shady shit that goes on, behind the scenes and crap. If they remade this and kind of told this story but did a better job of it, I think it would be a fucking awesome movie. Instead, whenever they made the remake, it was basically just an action film. They kind of took all of the political and all that kind of shit out of the remake, and it was just, hey, look, this cool sport, which, they really kind of wasted an opportunity on that, because this is a movie that really, in my opinion, deserves a really good remake, and I think it would be a badass movie if done right. But anyway, that's what I thought about Rollerball, man. Let me know in the comments if you watched this, what you thought about it. Like I said, I know it's kind of popular, and a lot of people dig it. You know, I think it gets pretty good reviews and shit. Personally, it didn't do it for me. It didn't get to where I thought it needed to. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. So let me know what you thought about it. And like always, man, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to like the video, follow the channel. We still got a bunch of shit to do. And yeah, man, until next time, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.